Her voice didn't shake when she said it. That's what stayed with me. Not the words, not the betrayal, the calm. I'm leaving, she said, folding her clothes with a precision I'd never seen before. He's the man I really love. I remember staring at her hands. Neat, careful, efficient, like she'd been planning this. Like I was just a task she needed to finish. I didn't ask who he was, didn't raise my voice, didn't move, because something inside me had already gone quiet. And silence is where I do my best thinking. It hadn't started that day. No, it started weeks ago, with a pause. A half-second delay when I walked into the room and she locked her phone. A smile that arrived too late. A laugh that didn't belong to me anymore. Small things, invisible to anyone else, but not to me. I remember the first night I couldn't sleep. She was beside me, breathing softly, and I was staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Her new perfume, her sudden gym sessions, the way she stopped asking how my day was. Love doesn't disappear loudly. It fades, like a signal losing strength. I didn't confront her. That's what she expected. Emotion, reaction, noise. But I gave her none of that. Instead, I watched. I started noticing patterns. She'd step outside at exactly 10:17 p.m. Always the same spot near the balcony. Always the same tone in her voice. Soft, almost careful. Not the way she spoke to me anymore. So I adapted. Smiled more. Spoke less. Became predictable. Safe. People reveal themselves when they think you've stopped looking. 3 days later, I checked the phone bill. Not her phone. Mine. Shared account. One number kept repeating. Long calls. Late nights. I memorized it. Didn't call. Not yet. Then came the receipts. A cafe I'd never been to. Twice in 1 week. 2 people. Always 2. Still, I said nothing. Because suspicion isn't power. Proof is, the breaking point? It wasn't the messages. It wasn't the lies. It was the way she kissed me that morning. Quick. Distracted. Like she was already somewhere else. With him. That's when I knew. Not guessed. Knew. And when you know, you don't react. You prepare. So when she stood there now, packing her life into a suitcase, telling me about real love, I just watched, studied her, memorized the version of her that thought she had already won. "You're not going to say anything?" she asked. I tilted my head slightly, just enough to show I heard her, not enough to show I cared. Because the truth is, she thought this moment was the end of the story. For me, it was just the beginning. I slowly reached for the remote. Not rushing, not hesitating, just precise. And that's when, for the first time, her hands stopped moving. "Wait," she said, a small crack forming in her voice. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer. I just pointed at the TV and pressed play. The screen flickered once, then stabilized. Grainy at first, black and white, time-stamped, unforgiving. She didn't recognize it immediately. Of course she didn't. People rarely recognize their own truth until it's framed for them. "What is this?" she asked. Too quickly, too casually. I didn't respond. I just watched her, watching herself. The cafe appeared. Same one from the receipts. Same table by the window. Same time, 10:42 p.m. And then, him. He walked into frame like he belonged there. Like he had every right to sit across from her. Like I didn't exist. Her body stiffened. Just slightly. But I saw it. "I can explain." I raised a finger. Not aggressively. Just enough. Silence. Because explanations are just rehearsed lies trying to survive exposure. The footage continued. No audio. It didn't need any. Her smile said everything. Soft. Intimate. Real. I hadn't seen that smile in months. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. She leaned in. Said something. He laughed. And then she kissed him. Not a mistake. Not hesitation. Not confusion. A decision. That's when the bag slipped from her hand. A dull thud against the floor. "No," she whispered. But it wasn't denial. It was realization. You were watching me?" Her voice trembled now. "You followed me?" I finally spoke. Calm. Measured. Controlled. "No." A pause. "I documented you." Her face collapsed. Not dramatically, just slowly. Like something inside her gave up trying to hold shape. You invaded my privacy, she said. But even she didn't believe it. I almost smiled. Privacy? I repeated quietly. Another pause, longer this time. You forfeited that the moment you started living a second life? In mine. She took a step toward me. Careful. Like approaching something dangerous. Please, we can fix this, she said. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. That word, confused. People always hide behind it, as if betrayal needs a softer name to feel acceptable. I picked up a small envelope from the table. White, unmarked. Her eyes followed it instantly. Fear has a way of sharpening focus. I wanted to be sure, I said. I placed it in her hands. She hesitated, then opened it. Her fingers trembled as she pulled the paper out, scanned it once, twice, and then everything drained from her face. That's not, she started, but her voice cracked before the lie could form. It is, I said. Still calm, still steady. A paternity test. Silence. Heavy, suffocating. You told me he was mine, I continued. You looked me in the eyes and built a future on that sentence. Her knees nearly gave out. She caught herself on the table. I didn't know, she whispered. I swear I didn't. Stop! One word. Sharp. Final. Because this wasn't about what she knew. It was about what she was willing to risk. Me. My life. My name. For something temporary. For someone. Replaceable. You don't get to beg now, I said quietly. You already made your choice. Tears fell. Fast. Desperate. But they didn't move me. Because I had already grieved her. Weeks ago. In silence. I loved you, she said. I nodded slightly. I know. And that was the worst part. She did. Just not enough to be honest. I walked past her, picked up her suitcase, placed it by the door, opened it. An invitation or a dismissal. She didn't move at first. Then slowly, she did. Every step heavier than the last. She stopped at the doorway, turned back, hoping for something. Anything. An apology. A crack. A sign I'd break. I didn't. Because this wasn't anger. It was clarity. You planned all this, she whispered. I looked at her one last time. No, I said. A small pause. I just stopped ignoring the truth. She left, and the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was earned. I sat down, turned off the TV, and for the first time in a long time, everything felt quiet. Not peaceful, just under control. Because betrayal doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. And I finally saw myself clearly. Someone who doesn't beg. Someone who doesn't chase. Someone who waits. And ends things properly. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and let the final thoughts settle in. She didn't lose me. She exposed herself. And that's a loss she'll never recover from.